Why don't we start off with Amazon? So if you read a lot of analyst notes, talk to a lot of people, they always a lot of talk about Amazon losing market share when it came to cloud, specifically when it came to AI workloads. Does this just end that narrative, or is that still an issue for the company?
I think it does put the narrative to rest. There was a lot of noise about decel of the AWS revenues, but obviously this number, as well as them turning Project Rainier on, tells you that the order book is very high, and our software team keeps pointing out that it's non-AI workloads that are also driving this. It's not just the AI side. Alongside that, you have the highest margin business in Amazon, which is ads, which is accelerating in growth as well. And it does look like they're improving their underlying retail margins.
All right. AI. AI is a very interesting thing when it comes to Amazon. I mean, they don't have like a chatbot that's out there like some of the other companies, but they did say that AI is now embedded in the cloud, obviously, retail devices, and the ad units. At the same time, when we talked about the layoffs, they laid off about 14,000 white-collar workers. Well, Andy Jassy said, well, that wasn't about AI. That was about culture. Is AI, in your mind at least, is it helping this company reduce headcount? Is it helping this company expand margins?
Absolutely. And I think very simply, as we've said to you before on this program, these companies are using capex to replace opex. They are putting in systems in place to automate what they used to have people doing. And that, yes, you can certainly attribute the 14,000 job cuts to a change in culture and Jassy wanting to maintain the absolutely brutal work culture that you have at Amazon, famously so. But the reality is that all of these companies are finding higher margins. It's why big tech is getting to record margins, and it's why, excluding all the one-offs, Amazon would have had a record margin for the third quarter.
All right, we want to get to Apple, but then you got to explain this to me. Why is your price target so much lower than the street? The street's at 276. You're at 253. You seem very bullish on the name. Why is your price target significantly lower?
Well, we just raised our price target recently, but at the same time, I think what we've seen across the market, and you have to be cognizant of this, is multiple expansion. And for now, we are starting to get, with the big tech names, ahead of traditional multiples that people were previously paying to that. And we try to be very disciplined in our approach. We're not just playing momentum. So we want to make sure, especially after these excellent numbers, that the multiple is underpinned by earnings growth.
All right, let's switch to Apple. Your price target for Apple, 277, quite a bit higher than the street. The street's at 261. This quarter, where you're hearing Tim Cook talk about strong iPhone 17 sales and even strong iPhone 16 sales, does this mean that we're starting a super cycle, or is this just a temporary sales boost?
Okay, let's not talk about super cycles or not. I think when we step back, we had 13% growth in for FY26 and $9 EPS. We could not understand why the street expected 5% growth. And in the largest quarter of the year, Apple has just told you they're going to grow 10 to 12, which, knowing them, probably means they're going to grow more. They're telling you they've got supply constraints, and they've got two huge tailwinds for themselves. One is obviously the new form factor, which has come after 4 years of pretty much the same design. And secondly, they've got higher prices. Alongside that, they're putting their own modem into more phones, so that replaces an expensive $60 Qualcomm part with $20 cost to TSMC. So that really underpins the margins. And remember all the noise that you heard in the first half of the year, this company will never grow, it can't innovate. Well, it's obviously showing you that consumers don't feel the same way as the people who were complaining on the street. And, or else they wouldn't be delivering the 140 billion plus quarter that they're on track for in the December quarter.
Can you look in your crystal ball at least? I know you don't want to talk about super cycles. Let's talk about Apple Intelligence. Tim Cook said more AI partnerships are on the way. How meaningful is Apple Intelligence for this company? And I also want to point out that these 16s and 17s that people are buying, they're already enabled for Apple Intelligence. A lot of these phones can already run Apple Intelligence. So is Apple Intelligence a cherry on top of the cake, or is it a driver? I mean, what is it? Because a lot of these people can run it on these phones, so they're not going to buy another phone to run it.
So that was exactly the question I asked him on the conference call. I said, is AI a purchase consideration for consumers? And he said, yes, he thinks it is. But frankly, they're not marketing it now like they were with the 16. I think that comes next year with a refresh Siri and some very simple, useful features for consumers. And that's just another reason why they have so little issue of retention of their installed base. Once you join the Apple ecosystem, they tend to keep you. You tend to have high attach rates for other products like the watch, like AirPods, etc. And they tend to keep those customers locked into the ecosystem, which also explains, Frank, the extremely high margin 15% growth they saw in services, because those customers are all using utilities like iCloud, signing up for Apple Care, or downloading apps from the App Store.
Richard, we got to go, but really quick, you said you asked that to Tim Cook. So what was the answer? Is it a driver for people buying or not?
He thinks it is. He thinks it is.
Okay.
But
what do you
for
think?
us,
Is what I'm asking. Just bottom line.
I don't think. I don't think it is right now. I think for consumers are buying new phones because there's a new form factor. The products are very attractive, and they have a vast 1.3 billion installed base. And they're trying to sell 250 or 300 million phones a year. That's not a problem.